Teachers' Day as we salute, pinaparangalan, pinapasalamatan ang mga guro, ang ating ikalawang magulang na gumagabay sa atin so that we can implement the policy of education for all and peaceful day of non-violence, as well as we greet you with Healthy Habitat Day to confront climate change. This is an invitation for all of us to join together in implementing the United Nations 2030 SDGs agenda. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are, as we are linked together in this triangulated celebration of October, as well as what we consider in the Philippines as Philippine Indigenous Peoples Month. Ako po si Cecile Guidote Alvarez. In the name of the Philippine Center of the International Theatre Institute and Earth Savers, honored as UNESCO Artists for Peace, we are pleased to present to you this special webinar, as well as an awarding ceremony of paintings by the youth about their reflection on the wealth of cultural diversity of our indigenous peoples. To begin the webinar, we shall have a special invocation from our indigenous chanter, a prayer of thanksgiving, of petition for the health of our teachers, our frontliners, for the success of our fight against poverty, and to overcome COVID. Edmarie Inda Manobo will begin with the chant. It is best to get a perspective of the United Nations concerns that are embodied in the Sustainable Development Goals, particularly its concern for people, for planet, for peace, for fighting poverty, and through partnerships. These are all encapsulated in the message of the Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, providing us an insight on the action that must be taken to resolve the problems that we face during this pandemic, aggravated by climate change, conflict, and a collapsing economy, and so much death and loss of livelihood. Besides considering teachers at the heart of education recovery, equally important is health and well-being for all, particularly during this time of the pandemic, together with capacity building for disaster resilience. This is a major concern of the United Nations. Let us listen to Secretary General Guterres.
When education is interrupted, it affects everyone, and especially students, teachers, and families. Today, on the third International Day of Education, I pay tribute to their resilience in the face of a pandemic that, at its peak, forced almost every school, institute, and university to close its doors. Although this disruption has led to learning innovations, it has also dashed hopes of a brighter future among vulnerable populations. All of us pay the price. After all, education is the foundation for expanding opportunities, transforming economies, fighting intolerance, protecting our planet, and achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. As the world continues to battle the pandemic, education, as a fundamental right and a global public good, must be protected to avert a generational catastrophe. Even before the pandemic, some 258 million children and adolescents were out of school, the majority of them girls. And more than half of 10-year-olds in low and middle-income countries were not learning to read a simple text. In 2021, we must seize all opportunities to turn this situation around. We must ensure the full replenishment of the Global Partnership for Education Fund and strengthen global education cooperation. We must also step up our efforts to reimagine education, training teachers, bridging the digital divide, and rethinking curricula to equip learners with the skills and knowledge to flourish in our rapidly changing world. Let us commit to promote education for all, today and every day. Around the world, nearly 1 billion people live with a mental disorder. Every 40 seconds, someone dies from suicide. And depression is now recognized as a leading cause of illness and disability among children and adolescents. All of this was true even before COVID-19. We are now seeing the consequences of the pandemic on people's mental well-being, and this is just the beginning. Many groups, including older adults, women, children, and people with existing mental health conditions, are at risk of considerable medium and long-term ill health if action is not taken. Addressing mental health is central to achieving universal health coverage. It deserves our commitment. Too few people have access to quality mental health services. In low and middle-income countries, more than 75% of people with mental health conditions receive no treatment at all. And overall, governments spent on average less than 2% of their health budgets on mental health. This cannot go on. We can no longer ignore the need for a massive scale-up in investment in mental health. We must act together, now, to make quality mental health care available for all who need it, to allow us to recover faster from the COVID-19 crisis.
The Executive Director of Habitat, Madam Maimuna Mod Sharif, will clearly, explicitly say the need to protect our habitat by confronting climate change and the need for decarbonization.
The climate crisis is widely recognized as the number one threat facing the world today. And it is our cities and towns which are responsible for much of the climate change, which is resulting in devastating floods, droughts, and violent storms. In fact, cities and towns produce around 70% of the main greenhouse gases. Unless we take urgent action, the greenhouse gases produced by ever-expanding urban centers will continue to push global air temperatures higher. This is why the theme of this year's World Habitat Day on Monday, 4th October is Accelerating Urban Action for a Carbon-Free World. World Habitat Day provides an international opportunity to raise awareness and push for immediate action through events, discussions, and campaigns. And this year, in the run-up to the International Climate Change Summit COP26, we need immediate action in developing and implementing zero-carbon plans. The recovery from COVID-19 pandemic is an opportunity for the world's cities to put climate action on top of their agenda. This is a chance to change how we generate our power, construct our buildings, heat, cool, and light up our offices and homes, and travel around from home to work. We need clean, resource-efficient energy to replace fossil fuels. We need energy-efficient infrastructure to encourage walking and cycling. And we need well-planned and well-managed compact cities that allow for non-motorized transport to reduce energy consumption from cooling and heating, so the natural and built environment come together in greater harmony. Cities are the incubators of innovation and new technology. We must harness this strength for better climate change solutions. Climate action will differ from city to city, but we must make sure the green transition benefits everyone, especially the most vulnerable, and create new jobs. The only way forward is for everyone to work together to ensure that our climate goals are met through implementation of the new urban agenda to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals.
From a global perspective, let us now look into the national agenda of action from the legislature. Senator Cynthia Villar, the chairperson of the Committees on Environment, Agriculture, and Climate Change, will give us the insight.
The month of October is truly a month of so many meaningful events and celebrations. Thank you for letting me share my thoughts about some of them. October 5, or the World Teachers' Day. This ongoing pandemic has truly shown us even more the importance of teachers. We have long considered them as among the modern-day heroes, but now they are considered frontliners. The change methods of teaching has been very challenging for them, and yet they took to task and never gave up. As second parents to our children, we are of course forever grateful to teachers. They also have a special place in my heart and that of my family, because I myself used to be a teacher and my late mother was a teacher too. God bless all teachers. Saludo kami sa inyo. October 17 is the International Day for the Eradication of Poverty. Poverty eradication or reduction is a cause close to my heart. My family and I have made it as among our lifelong advocacies. From money to me and my children, and I hope my grandchildren too in the future. We have established our foundation, the Villar Social Institute for Poverty, Alleviation, and Governance, or Villar CPAG. Our programs and projects in communities, agriculture, environment, and migrant Filipinos, or OFW, all have livelihood generation and training assistance components. We believe in teaching people to fish instead of giving them fish, so to speak. One of our flagship programs is establishing livelihood projects in all the cities and municipalities. So far, we have established 3,000 all over the Philippines. As a legislator, the bills I author and pursue are also aimed at reducing poverty in the country. Also, primarily the farmers and the fisher folks, who are the poorest sector in the country. Among them are the Free Irrigation Law, the Coconut Industry Development Law, the Rice Tariffication Law, the creation of the Rice Competitiveness Enhancement Fund, or RCEP, the Agriculture Competitiveness Enhancement Fund, or ACEF, the Farm Tourism Law, Organic Agriculture Law, IUUF and the establishment of fish hatcheries all over the Philippines, among many more. This legislation provides assistance and support in various forms, from farm inputs, machineries, and scholarship, and subsidies in capacity building and training. During this pandemic, poverty alleviations become even more crucial. Millions have lost their lives, jobs, or livelihood. COVID 19 has hit the underprivileged and marginalized group the hardest. Lack of access to healthcare is one area of utmost concern. While millions of doses have been administered globally, still so many countries have not received a single dose. I support the call made by President Duterte when he addressed the UN General Assembly last week only for global equality in vaccine distribution. To quote him, access to it must not be denied nor withheld. It should be made available to all, rich and poor nations alike, as a matter of policy. October 24, or the United Nations Day. Like last year's celebration, the main topic globally will definitely revolve around the ongoing pandemic brought about by the COVID 19. As UN itself cited, the COVID 19 pandemic is more than a health crisis. It is an economic crisis, a security crisis, and a human rights crisis. This crisis has highlighted severe fragility and inequalities within and among nations. Coming out of this crisis will require a whole of society, whole of government, and whole of the world approach, driven by compassion and solidarity, enough said that encapsulate it. On UN Day, as the current chairperson of the Senate Committee on Environment and Natural Resources, I would like to highlight the conservation of wildlife and protection of their critical habitats such as river, forests, and wetlands, many of which are threatened. Thus, during the observance of World Wildlife Day this year, I filed Senate Bill number 2078, or the Revised Wildlife Resources Conservation and Protection Act of 2021. The bill seeks to strengthen the wildlife conservation and protection mechanism in our country. The need to protect our wildlife resources finds critical relevance now as we continue to battle the ill effects of COVID-19 virus. We have gathered that there were researches indicating that the constant exploitation of wild fauna and their habitat, mostly through human action, had the effect of raising the risk of zoonotic diseases or the transmission of diseases from animal to human. This has been linked to the spread of infectious diseases such as Ebola, HIV, swine fever, and even flu. More than two-thirds of these diseases originate in animals, and about 70% come from wild animals, or what is referred to as zoonotic diseases. There were studies suggesting that COVID-19 virus may have originated from bats, and the first people infected were traders in bat meat who may have subsequently visited the Yunnan seafood market where the virus spread was first traced. Illegal wildlife trade should also be closely monitored. I'm recommending the tightening of such policies in the Philippines as well. Climate change is also a persistent concern globally. The world, in fact, is facing a critical tipping point, and the failure to act on climate change would lead to cataclysmic consequences for the whole of humankind. The biggest polluters are still carry on recklessly, business as usual, at the expense of the most vulnerable countries and population. We continue to appeal for urgent climate action. The risk of a warming climate are truly too high to further disregard. The Philippines already submitted its first nationally determined contribution with a target to reduce greenhouse gas emission by 75% by 2030. The NDC represents the country's goal of modernizing and pursuing low carbon and resilient development for agriculture, waste industry, transport, and energy sectors over the 2020-2030 period.
Civil society action, collaboration in the fields of culture, education, science, and communications will be provided by our colleague in the International Theatre Institute Social Change Network. Victor Siebeck is our vice president, as well as the chairman of the South-South Cooperation Council and co-president of the Colombian ITI Center, where we work in cross-cultural action, particularly because we are bridging, or let's say reprising, the Dia del Galion route of Asia, Latin America, Europe, transmission of cultural and economic exchange.
I come from Colombia, South America, a continent whose indigenous population has suffered tremendously over centuries. It is a part of the world where indigenous cultures, Mayas in Central America, from Mexico, and then Incas in a great part of South America, stretching from Colombia all the way to Argentina, have produced to the world some magnificent civilizations with amazing monuments which are admired even to this day. However, the period of colonization has brought a tremendous destruction to those populations because they did not easily adapt to slavery, which is why the Africans had to be imported. And many of those nations have simply disappeared, particularly in the Caribbean. And my organization, South-South Cooperation Council, also works a great deal in Africa, which suffered a similar fate, where colonialism has basically erased the sense of national pride in the tremendous cultures that this continent has had, from the pyramids in Egypt to obelisks in Ethiopia and magnificent churches and mosques in many parts of Africa, and the University of Timbuktu from 13th century. For all these reasons, we warmly salute this initiative from Philippines, and would also like to draw your attention that under the leadership of Cecile Alvarez, Director of Earth Service, UNESCO Artists for Peace, we are organizing from the 1st to 11th of December a festival, a forum, and also workshops to deal with sustainable development goals, including the plight of indigenous populations. And let me say in conclusion that I was very pleased that we were able to contribute to our links in Ghana and in Colombia with some demonstrations of paintings on indigenous people. I wish this important initiative every success.
Meron pong tatlong ahensya ang ating pamahalaan na tumututok sa pagkalinga sa mga pangangailangan ng ating mga katutubo. These three agencies of government are the National Commission of Muslim Filipinos, the National Commission of Indigenous Peoples, and the National Commission on Culture and the Arts, its Subcommission on Cultural Communities and Traditional Arts. We are pleased to present the point of view of Dato' Yusuf Mando, who is a longtime Muslim leader, President of the Muslim Affairs Council of the Philippines, and Commissioner of the National Commission on Muslim Filipinos.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. May peace and blessings and mercy of Almighty Allah be upon you all. It is my pleasure and honor to greet you all in this momentous celebration of the observance of this month of October, the Indigenous Peoples Month. There are 110 indigenous communities in the country. The National Commission on Muslim Filipinos, or NCMF, is mandated to preserve and develop the culture, tradition, institution, and the well-being of the Muslim Filipinos in conformity with the country's laws, in consonance with the national unity and development. In the Philippines, there are 13 Muslim tribal groups, and these are the Iranon, the Jamamapun, Palawani, Molbog, Kalagan, Kalibugan, Maguindanao, Maranao, Sama, Sangil, Tausug, Badjao, and Yakan. UNESCO statistics state about 500 million indigenous people provide the face of cultural diversity with about 7,000 languages spoken, but they continue to be marginalized with human rights violations. Extreme poverty. This is why it is fortunate that the UN concerns for nonviolence and habitat protection and education for all, as we salute teachers. Indigenous peoples need access to education, and through education, the general populace can be aware, understand, and appreciate the rich cultural heritage of our Katutubo in the Philippines. In fact, the Muslim Filipino epic has been declared an intangible UNESCO heritage. Our rituals, our practice, our artistic traditions and crafts are precious creative industries which generate employment and other opportunities. We are happy to link up with the Earthsavers UNESCO Artists for Peace in applying culture and arts in promoting social cohesion and harmony. We are glad this administration has been able to purge the Bangsamoro Organic Law, or BOL, that created the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, or BARM. The road to peace is indeed difficult, but we are striving to build solidarity and kinship. The armed conflict and climate change catastrophes deepens poverty, loss of homes and livelihood. The rehabilitation of afflicted areas should be further hastened. In particular, during this time of pandemic, we welcome the United Nations call for a ceasefire so we can all live in peace and promote its agenda of fulfilling the Sustainable Development Goals. We congratulate the selected paintings of the youth to express their interest and appreciation of indigenous heritage.
Attorney Norberto Navarro from Region 2 is the commissioner in the National Commission of Indigenous Peoples to present their area of action to fulfill the programs that would benefit Indigenous peoples in the Philippines.
Katempan Diyos sa tabo na tawad. In behalf of the National Commission for Indigenous Peoples, we join in a triple observance in October of the World Teachers' Day, the United Nations Concerns for Poverty, Security, Peace, and Nonviolence, Habitat, and Climate Action. We also invite you in the Philippine observance of the Indigenous Peoples Month we are currently celebrating this October. In the Philippines, we are proud to report that the Commission has already titled more than 25% of the Philippines land area to Indigenous peoples. That's about 5.7 million hectares of land that has been officially titled to individual communities. And it's probably one of the, if not the biggest, such titling in the whole world. We also have about 4,000, more than 4,000 Indigenous peoples mandatory representatives in our local legislative councils. This guarantees proper representations of Indigenous peoples in the crafting of policies and programs in every local government unit. We also have well-established free and prior informed consent process in the country, and this framework ensures or institutionalizes the advancement of the self-governance and self-determinations of Indigenous peoples. We are so glad to be part of your activity, and we congratulate you as we congratulate the participants and winners in the various artworks submitted on the theme Global Indigenous Cultures, and this especially coming from the youth. The role of the youth cannot be overemphasized, and so their education is also of paramount importance. This is to ensure this arms them, no? This ensures the inclusion and empowerment in tackling the many issues and concerns, not only in their respective local jurisdictions, but also in global concerns. The use also of art in getting this message across, using art as a vehicle for delivering the goals and the aspirations of these actions of this movement makes also the program more universal and more effective. So kudos to whoever thought of that medium. Again, congratulations, and we thank you for letting us be part of your celebration. And we hope to join you in your other future activities. Mabuhay ang katutubong Filipino, mabuhay ang katutubo ng mundo, at mabuhay tayong lahat.
The National Commission for Culture and the Arts, which is headed by a chairman, Director Nick Lisaso, and the Secretariat headed by OIC Executive Director Marichu Teliano, has a subcommission focused on cultural communities and traditional arts, which is headed by Dr. Abubakar Datu Manong.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in, amma ba'du. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The coming of the month of October is an important month to remember because we are celebrating three important events dedicated to the World's Teachers' Day, United Nations Concern for Poverty, Security, Peace, and Climate Action, as well as the Philippine observance of Indigenous Peoples Month. Every year on October 5, we celebrate World Teachers' Day. It is a time to remember those special educators who supported us when we were students and show gratitude to those who inspired us in the classroom. Not only that, but it's also a day for them to realize how they may now impact students in the same way. Above all, we celebrate the work of dedicated teachers around the world who continue to strive every day to ensure that inclusive and equitable quality education and the promotion of lifelong learning opportunities for all become a reality in every corner of the globe. With the end view of recognizing the importance of addressing poverty, security, peace, and climate action, the United Nations is deeply concerned to ensure that our generation and future generations will be able to mitigate increased risk. The global community will need to work together in unprecedented ways. I believe the United Nations is working tirelessly in fighting poverty to make real improvements in people's lives and in the choices and opportunities available to them. In the same way is the protection of the environment and combating terrorism through the provision of security and stability and the promotion of human rights and the rule of law. Month of October of every year is also declared as the National Indigenous Peoples Month by virtue of Presidential Proclamation number 1906 being spearheaded by the National Commission for Culture and the Arts under its subcommittee on cultural communities and traditional arts. For this year's celebration, we adopted the theme Katutubong Filipino, Atin ang Tagumpay. It is the biggest celebration of indigenous Filipino culture, which is not only a meeting of different traditions, but a reflection of Filipino identity. It is a venue for exchanges between the indigenous communities through virtual activities to celebrate the richness of their cultures, allow cultural exchanges that will foster deeper cultural understanding to sustain a culture of peace, provide opportunity to discuss indigenous people's rights, give the youth and other people a chance to deepen their awareness and appreciation of indigenous cultures, and advocate for the preservation as well as integration of traditional culture into the national cultural mainstream. Thank you very much. Wabillahi taufiq. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
We have a special offering for all indigenous peoples of the world, but sung by the great singer Grace Nono, composition by Ferdinand de Madura. A salute to all the indigenous peoples of the world.
From across the oceans to your teeming islands, bringing our wisdom as we come. For it's wonderful to see that far across the sea there are people indigenous like me. From the land of morning to the west of Eden, south of Kilimanjaro we came. For we share one history and we share no boundary. People indigenous like me, yeah, yeah. Let us dance our dance. Let us sing our songs. For we share one history and we share one destiny. People indigenous like me. For we'll keep our unity in our struggle to be free. Long live people indigenous like me. Long live people indigenous like me. Long live people indigenous like me. Long live people indigenous like me.
Our webinar is twinned with the special awarding ceremony of the selected paintings from different parts of the world, where the youth engage themselves in expressing their appreciation or study about indigenous peoples. Aditi Ahuja will explain the mechanics of the program as well as announce the winners from different continents.
Art nourishes the soul just as water nourishes the earth. Her belief in the creative potential of every individual is the driving force that moves her forward with the hope of spreading peace and harmony through art and culture. An artist, an educator, and philanthropist, she has been serving the community through visual art trainings, workshops, and creative consultancy, while proving to be the beauty with a cause by claiming the glamorous titles of Mrs. Universe 2018, Philippines Honorable Queen for Arts and Character Development 2019, Noble Queen of the Globe 2020, and Globally Inspiring Women 2021. She is the founder and director of Sprout Art Curriculum and co-founder of Indian Cultural Association of the Philippines, working towards building cultural camaraderie in Philippines and beyond. She is limitless as the name meaningfully portrays. Please welcome Ms. Aditi Ahuja, the organizer of International Art Contest, Global Indigenous Cultures.
The Board of Judges was composed of Virgie Monton and Maya Banawa, including myself as the chairperson.
Landed family in Cabadbaran City, Agusan del Norte, where her great-grandfather is the author of Carabao Logging, and where 3 indigenous tribes called Manobo, Mamanwa, and Higaonon are found. A family of professionals, a believer of Christ, talk show host, columnist, founder and CEO of VM Design, product endorser, commercial model, a Tahitian dancer, and a dancer of Bayanihan Dance Company of the Philippines. Congratulations to all the winners and participants, and thank you for putting up your heart, your spirit, and your soul into the paintings that you have submitted. Everyone is already a winner. Congratulations. May God bless you all.
Mary May Banawa, also known as Maya, is an independent recording artist and songwriter. In 2019, she composed a song, Genuine You, that reached iTunes Philippines Top 100. She's the founder of May Productions with over a decade of experience in providing world-class talents for social and corporate events. In 2020, she devoted herself to another path by integrating art and holistic healing. She musically paints and facilitates meditation, art, and voice therapy. Thus, Genuine Voice Academy and Heart Space was born. A philanthropist by heart, Maya contributes to various causes for the environment and well-being of less privileged children.
As one of the judges, I must say that it was quite an amazing journey to be able to dive into the soul of every artist who have expressed themselves and their hearts for the Indigenous people. Many of them, in their most unique way, have shared the message that despite of our pandemic, our Indigenous people continues to smile and they continue to be as vibrant and as powerful as they've always been. Congratulations to all.
Without any more suspense, I would like to start with the first category of awards in the age group of 19 to 35 years old. The first honorary award goes to Colombia, to Ms. Daniela Cazares for her entry titled Philippines. Our next honorary award goes to Ghana, to Mr. Courage K. Hunke for his entry about the Indigenous people of Ghana. And the second prize goes to Singapore, to Ms. Manali Day for her entry on the theme of global indigenous cultures.
Hello, I'm Manali from Singapore. Thank you, Sprouse, for appreciating and considering my work. So this is my artwork regarding the topic of global indigenous culture, in which I have showed various global indigenous people across the globe and how they have preserved their culture. Also in my artwork I have showed in background color the 5 elements of life, which is earth, water, air, fire and space, and how these people are so closely connected with the 5 elements of life. Thank you.
And the first prize goes to Philippines, Drowning Faith D. Garbo for the entry titled Manobo Girl.
I am Johanna Faith Garbo from Cabadbaran City, Agusan del Norte. This painting is representing how our indigenous people, the Manobo and the Manwas, are. In times of the COVID-19 pandemic, 1. Follow health protocols encourages by the Department of Health and LGU. 2. We still work in our gardens and harvest vegetables and fruits. We just stay at our homes with our loved ones, still enjoying each other. And to my mentor, Kita Leonor Calo, thank you and God bless.
What a beautiful presentation of the Indigenous people struggling and striving with a healthy spirit during pandemic. Congratulations to all of you for sending in your entries and winning these awards. Russia, Ekaterina Sandistikaya for the painting titled Round Dance.
Hi, my name is Ekaterina. I'm from Ulyanovsk, Russia. This is my picture. This picture names Horovod. I wanted to show the union and diversity of Russian people. Horovod is traditional dancing. We hold the hands and wearing beautiful dresses, dance in a circle.
The second honorary award goes to Philippines, Nicole Tricia Lobo Perez, for the painting titled Protecting the World by Connecting Hearts.
Connecting the world by uniting hearts. The message of my artwork is to bring awareness to the people on how unity should be spread around the world. No matter what races, color, and set of cultures and beliefs you have, we must accept our differences and build a strong foundation of unity. With the use of modern technologies such as social media, we can easily promote and spread these words of enlightenment to millions of people for them to know the significance of global unity and Indigenous people acceptance.
Our second prize goes to Bahrain, to Parthi Chen, for her painting Unity in Diversity.
Hari Khanna! Namaste to all. Myself Parthi. I'm currently living in Bahrain, but I'm from the western part of India, Rajasthan. First of all, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to Sprout for giving such a wonderful opportunity where we can express our ideas on a single piece of paper for a good cause. And I'm really happy to be a part of this contest and winning the contest. So, this is my painting, as the theme suggests, Indigenous cultures. So my painting depicts different people from different cultures. I believe that even though we all may be different in cultures, but we are still like the branches of a tree having the same roots. So we all should always be united and spread peace around ourselves to make the world a better place to live in.
Awarded to Tanuj Samadar for the painting World Peace, India.
Hi, I'm Tanuj Samadar, winner in the 13 to 18 years age category in the World Indigenous Culture Art Competition organized by Sprout. I would like to thank the honorable jury members and Sprout. I shall be ever awed by and thankful for the honor you have bestowed upon me. I am beyond happy and excited to be able to participate in such a prestigious event, and would like to thank Sprout for providing me a global platform to showcase my artwork and to get recognized for it. I sought inspiration to create my artwork from the diversity that we have in the indigenous cultures of different nations of the world. And this competition has significantly boosted my self-confidence, and I'm honored to be able to become a part of such an amazing event. Thank you very much.
China, to Sophie C. for creating a beautiful sketch about pandas and protecting them titled Peace and Harmony Between Animals and Humans.
This is Peace and Harmony. Peace and Harmony. Pandas are native to China. They are a really popular animal and a really cute one. So cute that people are capturing them and putting them in a zoo or killing them. There are only about 2,000 pandas in the wild, which is really disappointing. They are also dying at an alarming rate. We can help pandas by creating online content about saving the pandas. And if we ever do find a panda out in the wild, we should not interact with it. These are just some reasons why we have to try to save pandas. Let us take care of them for future generations.
Rehan Dargani for the title Yin Yang, a former Chinese belief of the indigenous people.
Hi, my name is Rehan Dargani. My mom told me about an indigenous art contest. I said only if it could be about Kung Fu Panda, which is my favorite movie. So I searched up Chinese indigenous art, and I saw that yin yangs were there. So that's how I drew this. I used pastels to draw it.
Russia to Postnikova Nadezhda, titled Three Worlds of Olomko.
Hello, my name is Nadezhda Postnikova. I'm 10 years old. I'm from Russia. I live in Yakutsk, Republic of Sakha-Yakutia. The title of my work is Three Worlds of Alanha. I tried to depict the motif of the Alanha epic. The epic Alanha, recognized by UNESCO, is a masterpiece of world heritage. Thank you for supporting traditional cultures of indigenous peoples. Thank you. Goodbye.
Popov Art Tour for the beautiful artworks titled Northern Lights of Native Land, blessing each one during pandemic.
Good day, my name is Artur Popov. I'm from Russia. I live in the city of Yakutsk, Republic of Sakha-Yakutia. Here I painted far north, the northern lights, and select those that carry their honor. Thanks to the organizers for the competition and support for the national culture for the Sakha people. Goodbye.
Thank you all for joining us for the awarding ceremony of Sprout's annual International Art Contest. Sprout Art Curriculum aims to bring awareness and protect the indigenous groups all across through expression of art. A story from Brazil's indigenous village Cravo clearly reflects the harmony and understanding amidst the families while parenting their kids, such a sought for difficult task for any mother of modern world. We are extremely grateful to Ms. Cecil Alvarez for conceptualizing this awarding ceremony and closely mentoring Sprout with her creative ideas and knowledge, bringing in well-recognized leaders of philanthropy from all across the world. We would like to specially thank Earth Savers UNESCO Artist for Peace, International Theatre Institute Philippines, South-South Cooperation Council for Sustainable Development, National Youth Council of Russia, and our media partners DZRH, Radio Balintataw, and Asia TV. I, Aditi Ahuja, on behalf of Sprout, would like to welcome one and all.
Sa isang awitin, pagkilala sa kagalingan at katayuan ng ating mga katutubo. Composition by Ferdy de Madura.
Ang lahat ng luntian, lahat ng katubigan, samot-saring kabuhayan, ang siyang pinagmulan. Ang isda sa dagat, mga ibon sa ulap, nagmula sa dagat ang lahat, nagmula sa gubat ang lahat. Ang mga katutubo Sa gitna ng kabundukan, ang gubat at parang kanilang tahanan. Pinangangalagaan, lupain at kamanahan, biyayang iginawat ni Kabunya. Biyayang iginawat ni Kabunya. Namayani ang dayuhan, dalay mapagsamantalang kaunlaran. Pinutol ang mga kabahuyan, nilaso ng mga karagatan, umukit ng maraming lansangan, lumitaw ang mga bayan, ang dagat, ang gubat, pinaslan.
Ang mga katutubo na may yaman ng isip at kalinangan ay huwag sanang pakikialaman sa kanilang mapayapang buhay doon sa kaitaasan. At tayo namang naninirahan dito sa kapatagan, ating pangalagaan ang ating kabayanan. At muling maglulunti ang kabundukan sa malalaking puno't ligaw na halaman. Ang nangaubos nating mga hayop, pamuling darami at sisiglang lubos. Bubukalang tubig, ang bati susudsod. Muling mabubuhay ang patay na ilog.
Thank you very much for joining us sa inyong pakikiisa sa ating adhikain in our efforts to advance the cause of our indigenous peoples and other marginalized communities in our country so that we can face boldly, courageously, united, collectively this COVID pandemic and act together for climate justice and our appeal for ceasefire so that peace may prevail on earth. I am Cecile Guidote Alvarez, your producing host, the president of the ITI Social Change Network and director of the Earth Savers Dreams Ensemble, honored as UNESCO Artists for Peace. God bless us all. Let's follow health protocols, get vaccinated, mabuhay ang ating mga guro. Health for our teachers and frontliners.
When I'm lost beside me, stay in this moment. Let me say, you turn my little into great. There's no fear, my dreams are awake with you. All that I can be means so much 'cause you believe in me. You show me how to live.